Welcome to The Plug, your go-to resource for athletes, families, and coaches as we navigate the sports world. I'm Jess.
And I'm Alexa, and this is a different view. We are going to do something, we're excited about this. Yeah. We are going to watch a game live, and we're going to see if we can get some commentating deals out of this. But no, that's not really the goal. I have a raspy voice, so hopefully I don't get any commentating point docs on that. But we're going to watch a game. The real purpose of this is really just to show how we see the game, to show what we're looking at and how we watch the game too. I think that's a lost art. Watching games, I think there's so much benefit from that. And so, but if you don't do it the right way, kids get bored. And so they're long games. We get it. They're long games. It's unlikely to get, under 2-hour games. It's like amazing to get under 2-hour games these days. But so we're just going to watch. We're going to commentate. We're going to share our live thoughts. We haven't seen this game. So we're just giving you our real raw thoughts. And we're excited about just how we can encourage people to watch games, how we can encourage them to look for certain things and just really dive deeper into competition. So
we're excited about it.
It's going to be good. This is semifinal, so we have Tennessee and Texas. Yeah, and Texas is in the winner's bracket. So Tennessee lost a tough one. Man, I'm sure you've seen it. If you're watching this, you've probably heard about it. They lost a tough one to Oklahoma on day one of the World Series, and they're fighting their way back. So they have to beat Texas twice. Texas is in the driver's seat, and Tennessee, if they win this one, they will play again. And the winner goes on to play in the championship starting Wednesday. So, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. 4 teams left, and Tennessee's fighting, and Texas is playing really good ball right now, I feel like. So we're gonna chat. We're gonna see how this goes. Never done this before. We're gonna let the game play out. Like I said, we're gonna be super real, raw, and then we'll have some chatter kind of in between. So we're excited about this, and
let's get into it.
Let's get it. Anybody feel like they can hit 79.4? 79.4. Carlin Pickens hit the other day in the Super Regional. That is nuts. I think the highest I faced was 70. Like when I was playing, which was 10 years ago. 10 years ago I graduated, 2015. I think 70 was like wow. Like when you hit 70. So 70 was like, I feel like that was the thing. Oh, Texas is going all white.
All right, we're
First
getting into it.
All white. I can't. You gotta have some color.
Yeah, I know.
You're gonna get some commentating that's not exactly just the game. But this is what we look at.
Yeah.
All white,
that's
not the look.
That's what keeps it entertaining.
That is not my vibe. I like a little color there. So they went off. Texas threw off. Mm-hmm. This is not their ace. I know who she is. I know she's pitched, but
last year she definitely had more of a role than she does this year, I think. So it's been interesting because she didn't, in postseason, she didn't even come in until late in the Super Regionals. Like that was her first time this year in the postseason that she even made an appearance. But she's a senior and obviously had a larger role last.
It's always interesting to see how coaches go about it because Texas, the reality is they've had 2 days off. Right. They played Thursday, had Friday off, played Saturday, had Sunday off, played today. Mm-hmm. So the reality is there's no reason that their ace starter could not throw. But it gets interesting always on Monday because you'll see like they have 2 games to win 1 game. Texas does. I'm sure they don't want to get to that second game, but it's an interesting. I'd love to hear the reason why. On the other hand, Tennessee's blue. I am all for that. Like sign me up. I love that baby blue.
I'm not an orange fan, but the baby blue makes it happen.
So pretty. They're going with their best stuff on Elimination Monday. If you've never watching games too, obviously listen to us commentate, but the commentators I think in softball are some of the best. I think they provide such great value. There's so many stories that you get to hear about.
They definitely do their research because they go in and actually have interviews with players ahead of time, and then they're able to pull from that information when they're actually talking about people. And then the stats that they come up with sometimes are definitely unique.
Yeah, I just like the insight that they provide. That's one thing. We went to the World Series last year, and it's you got to go if you haven't gone. It's such a fun experience, and you can't explain the feeling of being inside there. Was that pitch? Drop ball?
Looked like it.
Yeah. You can't describe the feeling, but I also miss the commentating. Like, I miss the stories, because you obviously don't get that. Yeah, that's a drop, right?
Yeah.
That's a tough pitch, low and out. That was my least favorite pitch. Feel that excitement, though, from the catcher. The catcher-pitcher relationship is huge.
Well, it's crazy for hitters, because you know it's coming. Because talking about 96% drop balls as a hitter, it's about trying to...
They say 96%?
96% drop ball, Jessica Mendoza just said.
Breaks so deep in the zone, you almost have to think 2 balls below it.
Maybe not Jessica Mendoza. Don't quote me on that.
And she runs about anywhere from...
Some of their voices sound the same.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that 90% drop ball. Wow, you don't see that as much anymore.
That's something that I started doing with our team after games, been putting in, like, more so on when we're getting outs versus hits, so that we could really see.
Miss spot, good angle. Did she get her?
Oh. There's your head first slide.
Right, head first slide, baby, all day.
We'll talk about that throughout the whole game.
I hope there's a play at the plate. I hope. I'm all for the head first slide. You can maneuver. She misses her spot here. Look at that. Right down the middle. Right down the middle. At this level, great hitters, don't miss those. Because that was maybe the best pitch she's going to get all day. They're just talking about how she made it a double. She was thinking 2 out of the box. Thinking 2 out of the box. The outfielder took a great angle, but I love the aggressiveness of Tennessee trying to get that runner in scoring position with 2 outs here. Now a base hit. I would expect them to try to send her. Strike around 70. That's nothing these days.
Yeah.
I feel like that was... Like, there was one girl All-American from Minnesota that I faced. Sarah Grona Wagon. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. She's legit. She's like Hall of Fame. I remember facing her in my junior year at LSU, and I felt like I had to swing before the ball even got to me. Like, I felt like I had no shot. And it was like 70, I think, maybe 71. And now you're talking about mid to upper 70s for numerous people. She's just popping that drop ball. But it's interesting.
They just said 10 inches of vertical break, which...
How does that relate?
If you know, that's considered an elite level amount of negative vertical break. So that's something we talk a lot with our pitchers about, is there's...
tough. She needs a glove.
Just the different thresholds. So -6, -8, -10 is what you're looking for as far as the thresholds of negative vertical break. And it kind of just starts with, like, your average is -6, and then your above average -8, and then elite level pitchers, obviously, here in the World Series at -10. So.
But talk about, they're going to go to commercial. Good start for Texas. So negative vertical means down. So that's
top spin.
Yeah, top spin. So you can see there, you can see that spin moving. Comes out over the plate, though. She got lucky again. That came over the plate a little bit too much. So talk a little bit about the rise ball then. So the drop ball, top spin.
Yeah, whenever we are looking at kind of like pitcher thresholds, if you will, so there's, if you have true topspin, negative break, that is, if you think about like a clock, right, going down towards the 6 o'clock on a round clock, that would be true topspin, straight down. Obviously, we know pitchers have a little bit of horizontal here and there on a lot of different pitches, but as we work down towards that negative break, that's what I was talking about of those thresholds. We're looking for at least -6 inches of break for it to like fool any type of batters at an average level, and then above average hitting into that -8, and then -10 as far as the elite level. So then you want to think about the same thing with the backspin going up towards the 12 o'clock on a clock. And those thresholds at times are a little bit easier to hit, I would say, as far as that's going to be your 1, 2, and 3. So +1, +2, +3. Because at that point, it's less about, I would say, the hitters, or it's easier for them to work towards a drop ball just for the path of our swings, versus the backspin is a little bit tougher to hit. So kind of staying above that, the hands of the rise ball there. So when I say it's easier for pitchers, it's because the numbers are smaller in increments, or their thresholds are smaller. It does not necessarily mean that it is easier to achieve inside of just a rise ball and being able to create that real backspin.
But that's why you're seeing, I mean, I think it's rare right now to see a drop ball pitcher, because a lot of people are going up because it is harder to hit. And if you've been paying attention to the World Series, there's a lot of true rise ball pitchers in the World Series, and I've heard pitching coaches say, like, we're we're under the ball, we're under the ball, we're under the ball, we got to get on top. Like, I've heard that numerous times from hitting coaches of the adjustments that they're trying to get their hitters to make because they're missing under. So it's a tough pitch to hit because of our natural swing path, and so it is a little unique to see that drop ball pitcher, but I'll be curious to see how she does, because if you can locate it at that level, obviously a minus 10 break, like that's elite. So I'll be curious. She's left a couple over the plate. They took advantage of one, but she missed on that last one. So we'll see how it goes. Now we got the flamethrower in though.
Yeah.
We got she's almost 80. She's a junior, so she's got time. She'll get there.
I was gonna say, I think
This is
it's gonna
insane.
happen. They actually were just talking about her break the other day, and they had said something about -6 when she gave up a hit, and they actually said it wasn't enough. And I was kind of happy to hear them talk about her a little bit differently, because I think it's been so focused on her speed, which is great, but we all know that eventually speed gets caught up to if you train hard enough. So you see a lot of these hitters are not late on her because they've been training, they know for the speed. So you've got to pair that with break to really actually be effective. So even at 80 miles an hour, she's still getting hit.
Get rid of it. She's
so-
safe. Yeah, that was predictable. Watch this here. You can just see, great job of the slapper getting to the left side. You can see her momentum stopped. Most errors, especially as a former shortstop there, that you can see that coming from a mile away. She got to slap her up. She knows she's got to get rid of it. She got caught. I was listening to see what the announcers were going to say. She got caught. You could tell she got caught in between. She got caught a little on her heels. Super predictable error there. That's why slappers are effective if they can place the ball. 66 miles an hour. What is that? Missed changeup?
Yeah.
Went way up. Imagine that. 66 mile an hour changeup. People that don't throw 66 at a fastball are probably like, wow, it's unfair. It's coming in hot. She's going to get her. Nope, she's going to get her at 2. She's getting that sure out. I think that's important, when you think about game IQ. Some kids will try to force that lead off there or getting that lead out at second and end up now all of a sudden first and second, nobody out in the first inning. So she obviously didn't have full confidence that she could get that out, which, she had some speed, looked like she had a decent jump there, so she just got the sure out at 1 now. She's got that runner in scoring position, but they've at least got an out on the board, and it's still early, so they just don't want to make a bigger inning than what it needs to be. Catchers take a beating back there, especially that girl's catching 80 miles an hour basically.
Right.
66, that's her changeup. What's a good changeup speed differential?
Anything between 8 and 15 mile an hour difference from the fastball. Anything less than 8, you're still going to be able to put some sort of barrel on it, and then anything more than 15 feels like you're sitting like a beach ball.
Yeah, I can reset if it's too much. Like flip changes, that's why flip changes are like, you'll see a lot of young kids use those because they look great because they're so slow,
And it's the easiest to learn at a young age.
Yeah, it's easiest to learn, but at the older ages, like you pick it up and then you can basically like reload.
Yeah.
Now you're ready, set to go. Oh gosh, there we go. It's a great job. It's just easier, for a position player outside of the catcher to go get a ball like that. High in the air, catcher's got gear on, and etc. So anytime we can get a corner infielder to take charge on that, preferred. That's the
Division one on
That's the
RBIs.
same pitch on the lefty. Isn't that so funny how umpires do that? I actually thought that was further. Yeah, see, she thought that was inside. I thought that was further. No, she missed. That was over the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Is that really a changeup?
Coming in at 66 miles an hour.
Stoned a lot.
Yeah.
Reese has reached. She had a walk.
I remember her throwing it that much. Did you also throw that much?
She does have an RBI.
And I feel like she's doing it intentionally for these hitters, because I definitely think she went a lot more rise earlier in the tournament.
She came in tearing it up in the NCAA tournament.
A rise mixed
She
with
stayed in that ball pretty well. Yeah, that's a good point. The pitch she just took for strike 2 was that pitch. And she knew she needed to swing at that because it was likely going to be strike 3.
And Pickens wins the first showdown with
72 mile an hour.
It's a special kind of pitcher, right? An ace, Michelle.
Looks like it's OKC hot.
We're tucking the knees. That gets you a little more of a splash. But solid. Gibson.
Oh, got her up and in. So usually with a drop ball pitcher, usually you're going to get probably less strikeouts. Like you've seen here, she's gotten a couple just weak ground balls. And that's pretty common. Like I said, it's easier for hitters to get their barrel to that pitch. Now, it's harder to get anything with power. You know, that's why people throw drop balls, because you got to work really hard as a hitter to get down there in your legs to be able to get leverage and get that ball lifted. So that's the power of drop ball pitchers, is if they can execute. The defense is going to be busy with ground balls, but they're going to be able to keep it in the yard a little bit more frequently. There you go, it's another ground ball. So it got through, but you know, you have a rise well pitcher, and those are hard pitches to get to. But if you can make that small adjustment in your barrel path, you're more susceptible to home runs, and that's what we've seen with all the rise well pitchers. It's a tough pitch to hit, but on the flip side, it's easier to get. You know, the ball's already elevated, so nothing really you have to do.
I always think it's so interesting. I was talking to a couple players this weekend of who they are rooting for, and people's reasoning for different teams is always so is vastly different. But we have one girl that was rooting for Tennessee because there's somebody from her kind of area that plays for them. So I thought that she was just talking about being able to face her at different times throughout high school, and now she's here on the biggest stage.
Giving them a little extra mojo today.
Another one. See, that's what a drop ball pitcher does. A drop ball pitcher who locates her pitches, that's what they're going to do all day. Defense is going to get fed, and she's going to keep them busy, but she's going to keep it on the ground, keep it in the park. And with today's power and pitch velocity, man, you meet that ball, and I mean, that's why the home runs are up.
Here's Emma Clark.
I love this. This is kind of a little old school.
And also, I think this is the power of the staff.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
The power of the staff, of the fact that like Tennessee more than likely probably was prepping for Tegan, and now they're facing a drop ball pitcher and have to adjust on the fly a little bit. So
it's a little bit of the gamesmanship that I think they're trying, but she's executing so far. She's getting them to roll over. This is such a tough pitch to get down there, and you know, at the younger ages, we just see a lot of people like flip their bat at it. You know, get super armsy on that pitch, and you just have nothing. You have nothing to go with. Give us a rating on our commentating. I love to commentate.
Real raw thoughts.
I would love to commentate.
Extra innings that lasted almost 4 hours. The 5 SEC teams that
She's going a lot of changeup.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really falling off though. I feel like it's flat.
Yeah. This is also the wrong person
Yep.
that they have on the
Screen
screen.
the wrong
so
person. So
that's the second error I've seen on their
everybody makes mistakes, right?
broadcasting. They spelled a word wrong in the last inning.
Looked like that changeup might have done something there because she was late. About that craziness last night. Did you hear about it?
Oh yes, and how long it took for them to come up with
Tennessee, yeah, that was wild. Tennessee hit a 2-run home run to tie it in the 7th, top of the 7th, and the girl missed home plate. Oh, UCLA. UCLA hit one. Tennessee was on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Missed home plate.
Today, and she said, you know, typically in 3-game series,
But then it turned out that it was not a reviewable play.
Yeah, but she came back to touch home plate, but
she got pulled after a few
pushed by
Friday night,
a
but
teammate. They said that what I read though was that even if that would have been reviewable, it would have been because it's considered a dead ball. Home run's considered a dead ball, so it would have been considered a warning against the team, and it still would have counted. So
all I know is I'm starting to see memes now about people's Appendix G is apparently where that rule comes from.
It is.
To really be able to break, just coming down a couple miles per hour gives that spin the opportunity to bite, to break, to move.
Oh, that was a pitch to hit. Oh, good play. Good play. She attacked that ball. Good glove movement there. The key, it's almost so fast. I love it. Watch this. She came to get it. That's a tough play. We need more of that. Man, look at that excitement from the pitcher. I think we need more of that.
We definitely need more.
Oh, she missed that
game.
spot. See, as hitters at this level, it's all about, you got to hit misses. And that's a miss. If they replay that, I don't know if they will, that's a missed spot. Here it comes. And she did something with it right there. Didn't get in far enough. That's the details of this high level. Good effort. That's the details of this high level. You miss, and great hitters are going to take advantage of it.
Wallace gets the start as designated.
Can't expect another one.
He also can go to Katie Simmons, or as he did in their opener.
Look at that shortstop coming in, giving her pitchers some love. I call that work in the bubble. So, on defense, obviously you're getting ready for the pitch comes in, and then I kind of work a bubble. So I talk to my pitcher first, and then as a shortstop, I circle to my left, and I talk to my second baseman, and then I talk to my outfielders, and then I circle back around. So I'm making a circle, and then by the time I get back to my set position, the next pitch is going. So my feet are never stopping. They're continuing, and that's just going to set me up when the ball does come to me. The opposite would be, so see, there she is again, that shortstop's coming up second base. You can see her creeping in on the left screen there too. The opposite is just staying in your spot, and it just creates, you're always training your body. So it just creates you're stagnant, and your feet get stuck, and now when the ball comes to you, you're less likely to be able to work through the ball appropriately as you should. And at this age, you'll get eaten up. The ball will find you and eat you up if you're not attacking that ball and an aggressive set.
I think it's also the mental side of it too, just staying in it every single pitch. You're constantly moving physically, but then you mentally can stay in it because you're talking to those people about what's happening. That's a lot of what I feel like as kids are coming up through the sport. It's they don't talk about what is upcoming in the game enough. They either don't know what the play is, they don't know the outs, and then it's no wonder why we see confusion once the balls actually hit to them, or hesitancy.
And when you're talking, there's less time to think about previous mistakes. There's less time, when you're chit-chatting it up, you don't have time to think about the error that you just made, right? The move's on, you're ready for the next pitch, and you're pouring into your teammates. I love that passion, man. She appreciates her defense.
That's what I'm watching on Game Changer, some of our teams when they're out and about. I'm like, why is this taking so long to get to the next inning? It is way faster at this level. They got whole commercials to fit in.
Look at that. Great percentage there, 20 out of 30 strikes. It's a great little stat to keep, especially at the younger ages when kids are just learning to pitch. I love that. I know you've talked about with your pitchers. Just starting out, 9U, 10U. 11U, what's their strike percentage?
And it helps them set a goal, because I think the really young ones, I always say, first time out, you're trying to, get to approach that 50% the best that you can, and if not, it's time to probably move on, because the game's going to be getting away from them. But then it also helps you develop a staff kind of holistically instead of just relying on one arm.
I think we missed it out, but that's okay. This girl is pumping, man. She just getting in there. She's throwing strikes. I love her. Look at her face, man. She's just going to battle. What do you want to play behind a pitcher like that? She's confident. She gets that ball. She does her little thing. Look, she's communicating. That's the other thing. Pitchers, you're defenders too, and it's a mistake if you just put your head down and you just, you only just go pitch and put your head down. Get your head up. Pour into your teammates.
Be the pitcher that's a part of the rest of it. I think sometimes pitchers get a me versus the defense type of mentality, and those are the worst pitchers to
I live that.
play
Both
behind.
need each other. Pitchers need defense, defense needs pitchers. Right. And if you don't, as a pitcher, if you don't engage with their defense, you're going to create that divide. And now all of a sudden when there's an error, there's pins and needles, right? And we feel like it's this game. Everybody's going to make mistakes. Pitchers are going to give up walks. They're going to make mistakes, and our defense is going to make mistakes too. So
we talked about how good they were in the first inning at the
it's an interesting timeout here.
Mike White and his all white also.
At the World Series.
And
Look at that in their last 7 games.
I do think, like you said, the timeout there is, most people probably aren't taking a timeout right there. We've got 2 outs, runner on first, this girl's been dealing.
Yeah, we wait until it blows up.
Yeah.
There's obviously something that he saw you know, whether it's about the hitter or it's about her pitches. I mean, she just gave up a hit, obviously. But yeah, that's not like a prototypical, she's been dealing one runner on, no big deal. But obviously he saw something that he wanted to share.
I really love that because I feel
I was gonna
like
say, hopefully you can hear that.
it gives her a chance to buy into that. Like,
Yeah, I love that.
instead of just taking her out and not giving her any sort of feedback, and like she can go in. I think that's part of the confidence that we see in the circle is like, I'm gonna go do my job for my one, maybe 2 times through the lineup, and then I'm gonna have a relief behind it.
She throws drop 90% of the
There it is.
strikeouts.
Yeah, so if you hopefully you heard that, but basically because of her pitch, you know, arsenal, she typically only goes what they say 2 times through the lineup, 1 to 2 times depending on how she's doing.
There's
So,
no way that pitch is going to
That's really unique, you know. They know that, and she buys into that clearly, and so I'd be surprised if she went back out there for the 4th, but they're on the same page about that. They've talked about that, I'm sure, and she knows her role and she owns it, and that's why it's so important. So important for kids to learn how to start, relieve, you know, all of it. You know, throw a full game, throw whatever. Like it's. I think that's really important.
Well, and even to think about the fact that like if you can make it through 3 times through, 3 innings through, and you got 4 left to give to somebody else, it's like working together like a staff like that is gonna make that other person come in and not feel like they have as much work to do. If you're only making it 1 time through the lineup, potentially 2, and you're doing that in 1 inning, 2 innings is just not enough.
Never mind, they're going to their ace. Who would come next would be their ace pitcher.
Right.
And then number 2, she's an up pitcher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going from drop to rise. They'll have to make that. It's like right when the offense starts to make their adjustments, that's when they're going to make the change, right? Which they said is typically 1 to 2 times through the lineup. That's huge.
Dodge does have home run power. She's
Separator.
shown in the postseason. She had a double her first time up. The first extra base hit. The Texas pitcher here at the World Series through their first 2+ games.
9th pitch of the at-bat.
Tegan Kavan following along with what the pitch call is. She's not checking out her emails.
Like you can tell that hitter expects it coming outside. I want to let her throw inside. She's leaning. Give me some curveball or something inside. She probably don't have that pitch, but
She does. It's a curveball, like her 4% that she throws.
It's on the watch.
Not
See?
enough. Not enough.
Clear out to
she got lucky. Why do pitchers go inside of lefties? She was leaning. He threw a curveball in, and she.
If they're anything like the pitchers I know, they get scared to throw inside them because they think they're gonna hit them.
told people Liberty Mutual
Like,
It's just so funny.
Same
'cause,
as
like,
trying to hit the righty.
right, that's what I'm saying. Like they go inside of the righties. Like I don't get that.
It's more comfortable being away, but you gotta have both. Especially when you get that posture change like that.
Crazy. I don't think I see any rolled sleeves. Do you? I don't see any. Man, it looks
Definitely
so good.
don't see
Oh yeah, she was stuck in between. She had no shot to get her out, and then got stuck in between. And
must have touched it inside the truck line.
as soon as she didn't go forward, game over. But right when she hesitated, done. She was thinking she might be able to let it go. Ooh, that might have gone foul, but she got it.
I think they're gonna get together.
She hesitated. It's right there, no shot, and then she should have let it go. But also,
It's a fair ball. Best play is being challenged by
that's
Tennessee.
totally fair.
Ruling is under further
Waste
review.
of time.
Yeah, it's where the ball is when it is
We're
touched.
getting way too challenge heavy.
But also, yeah,
You gotta know when to challenge, and
that was not the time because that was a fair ball.
Ball in and outside the line, but
Ooh, closer than I thought, but I think it's still fair.
yeah. The one thing I'll say though, as a former high school
I love that
baseman,
Babs was doing that in the news, by the way.
as a former
As a
former JV third baseman, I thought that was.
I just feel like their review is silly. I mean, you shouldn't lose your challenge if you get it right. Because you're getting penalized for the umpire making the wrong call. If you get it right, you should be able to keep your challenge.
You know, we've had some that took a little longer.
That one last night, it was like 15 minutes.
I know.
It was ridiculous.
It's like the whole
Review. The
momentum's
ball in the field is
gone.
upheld. Runner is safe. This is Tennessee's first challenge.
Gotta lead off on. What are we doing, folks? Who's up to bat?
Especially if you're gonna give a minimum number of challenges, like you definitely
Right.
should be getting it back.
Like I've seen
Or max.
coaches use them early on before the third inning, and they're right, and then they don't have any.
Yeah.
So now they can still make a bad call, and it's
In the 9
against you.
spot, and here's Ashton Maloney.
She's gonna bunt. Oh, she's going. She's out.
Safely is back.
Are they going to use the challenge again?
Well, that's a close play at second, and now.
Nice. She leave early.
For a review.
Ooh, she's out.
Oh, I think so.
She's out.
By Dodge. Speed of Texas continues.
She's out, baby.
Base for Katie Bennett.
Challenge that.
I think the tag got her. There is no challenge.
See? Put me on that field.
Shouldn't
I can be
shouldn't
an
have challenged
Look at that
the
quick
fair
tag,
ball.
though. See how quick that tag was?
Only get two. Late in the game, the umpires could.
She's out. Dude, he was right there. I can see that from.
The tag is going to be on the back
Germantown,
of the
Illinois.
fingers.
He's like literally on top of
If
it.
they would have had the video.
She's out. What a tag. One-handed tag. Did you see that? One-handed tag. Boom. Great throw.
Now she'll think about a bump, and this time they will let it go. An update on the Texas pitching situation, by the way.
Oh, there's the ace.
Still early. Tegan Caban.
Don't look like she's ready to go in
I
yet,
was
though.
gonna say she's not.
I wonder if the other girl looks like she might be going back out.
She's been a lot more warm, so if anyone were to come in,
I don't think she's ready to come in yet, so.
They were saying the girl in the
Back out there. She's still
other
got blood in her
bullpen
hand.
next to it was more full.
But they have a plan.
Yeah.
We don't know what that plan is from miles away, but they have a plan. They told their kids what that plan was, and they're going to execute that plan.
Only come 2-2 to Maloney.
Especially because there's a chance they have two games. Now, they're trying, Texas is trying to get it done in one game, but they're making sure that they're prepared. If it does go to two, that they're ready to go.
1 for 14 at the World Series.
Screwball?
Michelle has her 300th strikeout.
See how she gets inside that?
this one a screwball. She doesn't throw it a lot, but this is an outstanding pitch on the outer half. It is devastating.
pitch going away to the lefty.
Up to that pitch.
Take a bunt down.
Pet peeve number 5,000.
Well, you're a lefty slapper, too. Should be a strong suit of yours. Now, I mean, when you're bunting for a hit, like, I just feel like you have one shot. And if you don't get it down in one shot, like, defense is on it. Now, lefty slapper, she can play with some things. You just swung away there. See, this game is so fast. She went backwards. She couldn't shuffle. The only chance she had when she went back is to field it and be already planted, ready to throw. She shuffled. Shuffle.
No chance. Getting down the line.
So that's what we're talking about. You gotta know who you're against. You know she has speed. As soon as she goes back, you cannot shuffle, and I would not recommend going back.
Hits this inning on 0-2.
You get on your heels.
This is where Pickens needs to expand the strike zone. 0-2. Those are too close. More for the speed to get down the line and into play.
So here we go. Scott and Atwood for Texas. Mia with a hit in 9 straight games. Popped up to third her first time.
Taken all the way.
I was gonna say, sure looked like she was taken until she got a strike, which
Because she
I
can
don't think is common these days.
Doesn't get one
She
there.
looks. That hitter looks really in control. Like, she just looks like she has a plan. She knows what she's gonna do. She's not rattled. Her emotions are staying in check. Now she's in a really good spot here. 3-1, runners on. This is a tough position to be in as a pitcher. She tried to paint the corner, and hitter did a great job there. It's a good at-bat. It's a very mature at-bat. That's the definition of clutch right there.
she'll get low in that stance.
Can't make the game too big right here. You can't win it in the third. You can put your team ahead in the third, but you can't win it in the third. So she needs to keep the same approach, just simple. Make sure she doesn't get too big, trying to do too much. She needs to hunt her pitch here. Gets up to the outfield. That was off the end of the bat.
She wants to hit it.
She wants to be the first.
To me, it's
I like the aggressiveness though, coming out of a timeout, bases loaded. I always like that. It's not a guarantee, of course, that the pitch is going to be a strike, but she doesn't have anywhere to put her. So after a timeout, you're trying to get ahead in the count, and so she was ready for that. I like that.
Change up again.
She's throwing out a lot. I'd love to see
Especially
the
here.
percentage. comparatively to other games. Been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
There it is.
Oof. Jessica Mendoza knew it.
Right now, because she was waiting for that pitch. She wanted that pitch.
That was a pitch to hit out.
But it just shows you how good the Kings is.
If only one team did the job.
Struck her out with a rise ball the first time up.
That was a good pitch to hit. Now I'm trying to get this thing through the infield. I mean, grab all the infield potential double play. I'm trying to get this ball to the outfield. Score at least run here.
Lift or break on it.
She's moving it. Bennett at third, Henry at second, Scott at first. In a scoreless game, national semifinals.
Change up.
And Pickens wins her.
That had good bite to it. A good changeup has a good speed differential and it breaks. It falls off the table. This one fell off the table. Some of our other ones have been a little flat.
Gets the foul off on the rise ball, the outer half. Then she's going to do a good job of going on the inner half. Gets out with the swing through a rise ball.
That was the one she had to hit.
And then it's that
That was a good
65 mile
sequence.
an hour changeup.
That happens once or twice. Pickens gets a little
I always think, like, I mean, her pitch count's at 52 right now after 3 innings. I always think she gets a little elevated in her pitch count because she just goes so deep in counts a lot of the time.
This girl on fire. 2 outs. Can she be clutch? It's in a good count here. 2-0. It's tough. Pitcher. Ooh. Woo. He said that was down.
She didn't like that.
That was tough. It's gotta be mom.
The stress,
That's
stress
gotta be
of
mom. That's
parents
so funny.
in the stands cracks me up.
Hopefully, man, that was a tough one. I thought that was a strike. Yeah. 3-0. She's gonna swing. Nope.
We faced a team Friday night that swung more on 3-0 than I've ever seen a team swing 3-0. Almost every single time. It was crazy. Not a guarantee.
Not a guarantee anymore. Oh. I may take 3-0, but I don't know if I'm taking that, baby.
Yeah.
Man.
You're not going to see a pitch like that.
Exactly. You're not going to see a pitch like that again. Jessica Mendoza is right. I don't like that.
26 pitches this season.
3-1. I'm good with a 3-0 take, but 3-1 takes I can't stand because watch this. She's going to strike out.
3-2, bases loaded. Mitchell pops it up.
Or get out. Uh-oh. See? Good job, first baseman. She's got to swing it. The pressure wasn't on her in 3-1. The pressure was on her in 3-2 because she started 3-0. So she was in the win, and then 3-2, while that's somewhat of a neutral count, momentum-wise and emotions-wise, Tennessee had the momentum because she came back for 2 strikes in a row without her swinging. So now the pressure is back on the hitter. I don't like 2 takes in a row, 3-0, going 3-1, I'm good with that. The 3-1 count, I think she's got to be ready to match that pitch. Look at that emotion, passion.
Which is good. I just think we have to be really committed. We know she's not going to change speeds much, so it's going to be 1 speed. We got to be committed to getting our barrels under. We can't let a call that we think is marginal bother us, and I think we might have done that early and then started chasing. Get the ones that are above the knee and commit to it. Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you.
So my takeaways from that one, the University of Tennessee. Look at that focus. She shook the pitch. I was just going to say that.
As long as you're shaking not just the pitch, you're also shaking the location. And she came back in underneath.
I love
the
that.
hands,
We don't have that enough. Talk about that.
That's what she wanted to
We don't have enough pitchers that know enough about their own selves to know what to shake off. Is problem number 1. But I think just even pitchers knowing what you want when you're on the mound. And when that doesn't get called for you, having the command to want to shake that off. And then, like they said, it's not always just a pitch, sometimes it is the location. And so, again, pitchers have to have their own plan, not just a robot waiting for whatever sign is given to them.
That's the problem we've created because we're so heavy on coaches calling games. we've lost. I get the idea. Maybe we feel like there's more experience there, but at the same time, we are if we're not careful with that, we are creating those robots in a circle, and then they just throw it. The amount. I mean, how many times have you heard like, oh, like that was what it was called?
Yeah.
Or like literally blaming the pitch call. Instead of taking responsibility and be like, no, I don't want that pitch. I want the pitch that I want. And you got to know that, like you're saying, but we got to be careful as coaches to not create robots in the circle. They're the ones throwing. They're the ones that have the ball.
They
right?
have to be convicted by your call anyways.
Yeah.
That's where, like, and I think part of that stems from the fact that there's so many coaches out that, like, they won't let you shake them off. So, like, coaches will be like, don't shake me off or whatever, and, like,
that's a problem.
okay, but then also now you're just giving them the excuse. If you don't let them shake it off and they have to throw what you say and they're not convicted by it and they get hit anyways, like that, I mean, that's back on you because you won't let them shake it off. So I think as coaches, we have to let our kids shake it off, have conversations about why they chose to, and then let them learn through why they should be convicted by certain pitches and certain counts.
And we have to talk to them about the game. We can't just, like, okay, we won, great, moving on. We have to coach. We have to coach them on sequences and on how to read batters. That's the thing. That's why I like catchers calling, because catchers can see the batters. Mm-hmm. The people in the dugout, they can't really see. They can't see where the hitter is. They can't see, maybe a tendency as good as the catcher can. And that, I just love that pitcher-catcher relationship when the catcher does get to call. I think it's still doable if a coach calls to have that autonomy and make sure we're not having robots, but it's harder and we have to spend more time. We can't just like, okay, whatever they call, cool. We have to make sure that we know our stuff and that we know what works, and then we also study the hitters. What are their tendencies? What's their swing telling us? And
I think a good test is like if you, as a coach, you feel like if there's a way that the pitchers would call for themselves, it's like, yeah, how many people would you say yes that you felt confident that they could call a game for their own selves? I would say that not many could say yes.
Look at that spot. This girl is, you can tell she is locked in. Mac Morgan pitching here. She is solid. Look at this spot.
This is up and in. You're pushing off Boo Gibson.
That was a ball. So that's just setup pitch right there.
Yeah.
That was a ball, but that's a great location up and in. She set it up. She backed her off. Then she goes low and out there to get the strikeout.
Execution by Matt.
We're fired up.
A warning to the Tennessee dugout.
But wait.
Craig Snyder, who came out of the dugout, and I believe there has been an ejection on the Tennessee side.
I bet he's arguing balls and strikes.
Yeah.
Ooh. Choice words there.
Can't do that.
And I think Craig Snyder is going to have to go.
Pack it up, buddy.
And he's been ejected. Wait, Karen Weekly alluded to it with
Woo.
Holly Rowe.
Getting heated. The other thing I like.
From their hitters, and that last pitch that was called, it was a strike, but it's that at the knees pitch that's giving frustration to these Tennessee hitters.
That is the Tennessee hit.
Yeah, so the other thing that I liked what Carrie Weekly said is the adjustment was very visual, right? It was hit the pitch above the knees. That's what they're looking for, and she talked about their emotions and making sure that they control their emotions if it's a pitch that they don't like, because that's not in our control. So we have to make that adjustment and stop wasting energy on that. She's just hitting spots.
A little bit. You just have to make. It's not like she's going to throw you rise balls or a ton of curveballs. I mean, her primary pitch is a drop ball. Move up and meet it before it
I was
breaks.
gonna say, I would think Tennessee's up in the box enough. I would move up. That's all she's throwing, and that's what even Holly Rose said that. Like, how do you make the adjustment when you know it's coming? You know the drop ball's coming. Scoot up and get it before it breaks if you're having a hard time with that low pitch. And she's not. I mean, I say she's not throwing hard 70, but for them that's average.
Yeah.
Like they're certainly 70 is a cakewalk to them. But I don't think, like, she needs to be up in the box. If he's calling that a strike. If he's not calling the low pitch a strike, then I probably would stay back and trust my eyes that I can take that pitch. But if it's being called a strike, I'm going to move up to try to get that thing before it breaks lower if I'm having a hard time. Similar with a rise ball. If you have a rise ball pitcher that is throwing a rise ball for a strike, which it's incredible the way people can throw rise balls, for strikes. They can start them kind of at the knees and work them up, or start them at the chest and work them up to the top of the strike zone. And I think that's, if that's a strike and you're having a hard time, then again, I think similar. As long as speed is okay for you, you can scoot up in the box to try to get it before it breaks. Because great pitchers, their pitches break late because then it's harder on the hitter. It's harder for it to adjust and see that break if it's that late. So similar approach. Getting a little fiery here. I like it. I like it. What a performance. Let's see if they roll her back out. She gets out of this. Let's see if they roll her back out. She went inside on that one. I see her. I see her.
I mean, they're that 7, so they're about that second
About to get
time
back up. Yeah,
through
it's
all
true.
the way.
About to get back up for the third time.
Costly at all for Tennessee. Their hitting coach Craig Snyder out.
Does he have to sit the next game?
I don't know what it is.
In college, yeah.
Huge voice for them. I mean,
All
they
the
make
U-Trip
adjustments
and the IHSA rules around here for sure are sitting another game. Get off that mat.
To record the third out of the inning.
You cannot, just a good time to talk about this, you cannot backpedal as the runner going from home to first. So if she were to stop, she can stop, but she can't backpedal. She wouldn't do it in that scenario because there's 2 outs, but sometimes you'll see kids try to do that when there's less than 2 outs and other runners on, where they're trying to get away from the tag. You cannot go backwards. It's a dead ball. Anywhere else, going from first, second, or third, you can go backwards as a runner, but you cannot go backwards going to first base.
I think that, and then on the defensive side, you got to know that so that you're not chasing them down. If
Yeah,
they start
they have
doing
to
that,
come
You
to you.
got to move on.
in this game right now so far. What are you seeing from her?
She's a bulldog. She just wants the ball. She wants to do best
Pretty
for her
sure I
teammates
said
and
that,
carry
yeah.
this team to the next
See,
game.
get me on this thing.
Usually you said she's good a couple of times through the lineup. How long do you let her go?
That's a good question. I'm going to talk about it right now with Teddy Ruth and see what we want to do.
Okay, if you make a change, who would be next in?
Probably Tegan Caban.
Thank you, Coach.
That's for Ace. So you can tell she's done better than he thought, because I think that he's torn. I bet before he was,
Another game changes a little bit.
before he would have said he would have pulled her already. But now that she's thrown a good game, he's now questioning it. So what are you going to do, Coach?
I mean, she's sitting around 14 pitches in, and she's being super effective right now.
So you're keeping her in?
I'm keeping her in at least for 8 and 9, and then if they go to the top with not 2 outs, I'm pulling her.
Here's Katie Stewart.
That's good
6,
feedback.
7, and 8 coming up.
Know where you're at in the lineup. Ooh, dude.
Mental health has become such a big part of the game.
I feel like that's not her
We talk
pitch,
about
though.
this a lot. I mean,
But I feel like that was a little on the higher. Like he called the ball low. And
Oh,
then
I
called
thought
it
you
high.
were.
No.
I thought you were
this stage.
making noises that she missed that one. I'm like, I
We're
don't think
saying
that's
that's
her
not her
pitch.
pitch. Like we know her. We do know her.
That's the pact you make playing for these two
She needs to get one of those inside pitches.
Yeah. Low and in
We see a lot of
jack
players
it.
transfer up to test themselves against the best and to try and
Lots of close games this World Series. Lots of walk-offs. Ooh, did she get it? Just missed it. Oh, she didn't. That thing carried. You said jacked it. You called that. That thing carried. I thought she got under it. It got just enough.
I feel like that outfielder, she didn't keep him.
I think she
moving. She didn't know where she was at.
I wanna.
Were you at the wall? Because you kind of ran into it.
I want to see the side view. I want to see how far out that was.
Oh my gosh.
She. Okay, I didn't think that was out. I love it. Rise ball. She got it a little in. She got. It's definitely under it, but she got enough. Let's see. She thought she had it. Oh, that was robbable. Not a good approach by the outfielder. Dang. Ooh. That was a pitch to hit. Yeah, it kept going. It had
She didn't
backspin.
know.
She had no idea where she was at. That was not a great. I like.
while she was still on the grass. And then
No,
it
she
just
didn't.
kept
No.
going.
She had a beat on it.
And just enough
The announcers were saying they thought she had a beat on it on the grass. You gotta get a side on the side of that to get your throwing hand out to be able to feel for the fence, and then you can jump on the side. I'm showing you as if you can see me, but you can't see me. Let me go to the camera so you can see. So the fence, like my right hand is my throwing hand, so I'm gonna get to the wall with my hand, and then I'm going to reach from the side here. So she was back to the wall. You can't reach. There's no reach there in that. You know, when you're working against a fence, you got to know where you're at. You know, look at the field ahead of time, but then get to the side, use that off throwing hand, and then jump up from there. Totally could have robbed that one.
Especially because, I mean, she's a lefty too, so she was going in that direction. Her left hand would have easily been able to get to the wall.
Is 1-0 gonna be enough, folks?
Now you got the lead. Now I'm definitely putting Mac Morgan back out for sure now because I'm gonna let her go 8-9. If either one of them gets on, I'm switching up the top of the lineup.
Fifth strikeout of the game.
See if they do that. She went.
And then the other thing, I mean, really, there's nobody that's hit her hard either. So
No.
Hit the home run against Florida.
Right back.
I want to see a replay of that. I did not see that as a foul ball. Called foul ball on this.
Ooh.
What?
I don't see that.
Is that reviewable?
Nobody. You missed that.
Yikes. Rough day.
I was watching at the regional championship game the other day in my hometown, and the umpire behind the plate called the foul tip, and the catcher didn't catch it for the third strike, and the runners advanced thinking it was a pass ball, and he called foul tip, but then he said it was like live, so the runners like moved to second and third, and then the other coach obviously like came out to argue it, and then the umpire in the field was like, I don't know what you're talking about, and he made him go back to first and second. He's like, you can't advance on a foul ball, and he kept saying because it was foul tip on the third strike that it was playable, and it's clearly not. So.
See, I feel like that's been a strike on righties.
Yeah.
But gotta adjust as a hitter.
Stolen base back in the third.
This umpire zone is definitely more conducive than Texas's pitcher.
She's throwing a lot of pitches here. Like, goes back to your... She just gets deep and counts. I like the pace of this game.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, we are
I mean, obviously there hasn't been runners on, but I think the pitchers they're just like up there. They know what they want. Look at her, she shook off again. They know what they want. They're getting in there. They're throwing the pitch. I mean, it's just. Oh, this is such a great. The parents of the players who hit home runs, they get the ball, and it's such an awesome experience. Those event staffers get to go bring them that ball. Super cool. All right, well, we're moving. Top of the fifth.
And we're still able to fast forward. We're done now. 2 Division I softball players in the Stewart family.
Yeah. Pretty athletic. Oh.
Oh.
See,
I'm not
gonna lie. I thought you were gonna go the route of I would bring her in because they have the lead. Not I would keep her in because they had the lead. Both strikers.
They had two more batters in the lineup to give. I felt like,
but I think if I'm devil's advocate, you don't want I'd rather it be a clean break because now that girl ended strong, now you're starting strong, you have the momentum of the lead versus if something were to go down, now you have to bring her Kavan in the middle of the inning and now you've lost that momentum even if the score is still 1-0.
Yeah.
There's no there will be a right or wrong probably, but even if she would have stayed in, the outcome may not change. Nobody ever knows that, but I think that's the challenge of making pitching changes is you could argue both sides. You could argue, well, we have the lead, let's keep her in, she's been dealing, they're not hitting her hard. Or you could argue, hey, we got the lead, let's bring our ace in at a clean break in the top of the inning. Let's let her start at the bottom of the order, coming out in relief instead of making her start at the very, top of the order. So you can make an argument for all the scenarios. It's just what you trust, and it's part of your game plan and how you're feeling in the moment. But it's not easy. Because who knows? We got 3-1 count here already. So now you're seeing up pitch. So different. So this is
as a coach, super frustrating to take the lead and then go in and have a leadoff walk.
Tegan Kavan found out the morning before her last game 2 days ago that her grandmother had passed away. Her 96-year-old grandmother.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that the other night, that when Tennessee got walked off by Oklahoma in the 7th, the first batter got on by a walk-off, or by a leadoff walk. And it just, I know the pitchers obviously aren't up there trying to walk them, but there is just something to be said for making sure that that first out gets recorded. Those leadoff walks, man, they're just, hey, the momentum and just the gut punch of like, ugh, like I didn't even make her really earn it. I mean, you earn it to an extent, but I mean, there wasn't a ton competitive there in that at bat. Already got a timeout. I think this was driven by the players. So sometimes you got, coaches that want to go out and provide some strategy or provide some encouragement or whatever. But that was player driven, and I think that's important. For an infielder to feel like they need to, they feel something. Usually is what happens. They feel the game changing. I feel like Tennessee bunts a lot. I saw them bunt yesterday, late in the game, when there's a runner on with nobody out. So I expect a bunt here.
Amanda Allen is the pinch runner over.
I'm so intrigued by the shifts we're seeing more than softball, even just the way that the field was set up right there and lefty slapper was not traditional.
Morgan through 4 innings, and now Kavan stepping in.
Ooh. We don't like that pitch on lefties. Some of the stories that you hear, like Tennessee's mojo kind of vibe this year and theme, they have on their, you can see it on her guard, one of her elbow guard or something, I don't know. It says KTP, and there's a second part of it too, but keep throwing punches is what KTP stands for. There's another part, I don't know what that stands for, but just buying into something. They also have poker chips. Each one of Tennessee's players have a poker chip in their back pocket, and it's just symbolizing that we're all in. We're all in, and everybody's giving their best, and we're all, all in together on this mission. DP. Nope, too fast. Yep, plays are hard to come by in softball, especially, that one kind of working second, back to second base is, I feel like, a little more slow moving most of the time.
Needle threading locations and control at 71. The rise ball at the top of the zone. But those 8 strikeouts against Oklahoma was a mix of rise ball, off speeds. 2 of those strikeouts looking all about control, keeping that
a good rebound.
Or the heart of the plate.
So a lot of this game is not letting one thing turn into multiple things, a snowball effect. She did a good job there, bouncing back from that walk, getting her feet under her a little bit since she hasn't, been in the game. Can you call it white eye black?
White black. White eye black.
It just sounds.
I mean, that's what they say, like, I brought my purple eye black.
Yeah. Ooh, that's nasty. That's nasty. Look at that fall off the table like that.
58. Well, there we
Man, change-ups are huge. Speed changes. If you have a change-up, you have a chance, in my opinion. Effective change-up. Let me add that adjective in there. Effective change-up. As a coach, you got to know what your players need. So I think those timeouts are a little less common. The coach calling timeout to talk to their hitter. But I think they can be really effective if you know what your athlete needs. Each one needs something different. As a coach, you got to know that, and you just might be able to get them into a little bit of a better space to perform. And that's, I think, the goal with those timeouts.
Again in the finals.
Right there, you can see the KTP there on her elbow guard. Elbow guards weren't a thing when I played.
I think it's PTK. Like, I think it's the reverse of that.
Oh, I think you're right, PTK.
But I don't know what it stands
Figure
for.
4. Figure 4, like that. They got siblings, that's what that shirt is. Sisters on this Tennessee team. What a cool experience for those parents.
Still on the seat, so he's parked down the concourse. The 1-2.
Oh, she went. It's a good pitch right there. It's tough.
Good with the change. 2 down.
She slows this one down a little bit more. 57.
Come on, give me a plate.
5 inches of vertical break. And how about
I'm ready for.
run on this as well?
She's out of the box. See her foot?
And Lee's just going to offer at it as she
Her
pulls
foot's out.
and steps over. Just cannot get that back.
We had that happen twice this weekend.
Got out of it. Well, she responded.
Carlin Pickens trying to keep this thing close for Tennessee. Give their bats a chance. They still have 6 outs to work with to try and extend their season.
She looks like she's out of the box too. Inside.
As we continue to build towards the Los Angeles.
Why don't they throw changeups to lefties more often, lefty slappers?
I don't know.
Like,
I'm
I'm
not
not
a fan of
that
that
part-
because you're already going, so you're likely, even more likely to be out of the box.
Right.
Because you're not going to be able to hold that back once you start going.
Professional
Maybe she'll hear us and throw it.
Olympics.
Nope.
What do you think
No.
tonight? Kennedy adjusts.
Screwball. I've never seen somebody who swings and misses from slappers.
Strikeout there for Pickens, 1 down.
Anytime I have an up, you know, as a hitting person and somebody who coaches in the field, anytime we have something up, it could be, look at that double shuffle. I'm going to pause my thought. Double shuffle is utilized. It happened earlier in the game too as shortstop. I don't remember which team, but she used a double shuffle there because she was giving the first baseman time to get back to first base. So the ball got back to her quick, which happens frequently, especially at third base. And so she gathered herself and took that double shuffle to help the first baseman give them time to get back, but also to help her get her feet under herself. Because we see kids, they get rushed, right? The ball got to them quick and they get rushed, and that's where overthrows happen. So huge proponent of and believer in the double shuffle. If the ball gets to you quick and you know you have a little bit of time, gather yourself, let the first baseman get back. Some rowdy parents we can hear in the broadcast. I don't recommend you be that parent.
Absolutely. I think that's the difference between like a
Because if I can hear you, then your kids can definitely hear you.
Yeah.
And that's embarrassing.
velocity separation between her hard and her soft.
Expect to see her tonight, possibly against Sam Landry. And a ground ball. We head to the 6th. Tennessee's down 1. Maybe the last chance for their big boppers.
So I'm going to finish my thought from earlier that I stopped to talk about the double shuffle. I was talking about when we're facing someone who throws up. That could be a true rise ball pitcher. That also could just be, ooh, that was piped. She wanted that one. That could also just be a fastball that's spotted up. You know, I think that's something that is interesting because people say that she's throwing a rise ball, and sometimes it's not actually a rise ball, it's just a ball that's going up. And so regardless, anytime there's a ball up in the zone, like I'm trying to get my hitters to think visually. And so you heard kind of Karen Weekly talk about this with the low pitches, like hit the ball above the knee. And so when it comes to high pitches, I'm thinking keep my barrel above the ball. I may even think swing down, which kind of sounds a little exaggerated, but if I'm missing under, then I need to tell my body to do something pretty drastically different to get a different result. And so that's where I'm going to tell them to keep the barrel above the ball. I'm going to tell them to swing down. And it's a visual cue to get their body to do something different, but it's not in a super mechanical way. Change up. It's not in a super mechanical way where it gets them in their head thinking too much. Like it's gonna give them a visual to visualize and then also be able to execute pretty, I mean, I wouldn't say easily, but they have more of a chance to execute because it's simpler to digest. Man, this game, I can't get over how fast this game is going. They knew that we were doing this on podcast and knew that we needed to have a time limit. I was like, are we going to have to put this into like 2 parts? Because the way these games are going, they're like 3-4 hours long. I'm like, ain't nobody going to listen to that. We need to do, I want to do like a poll on no batting gloves versus batting gloves. I want to know like how many in the World Series, what's the percentage?
She is such a good leader back behind the
I think I would still hit with batting gloves. This batting gloves person.
At this point, they've become more of a fashion statement than anything else.
True.
Just like every other protective gear that's out there. Well, they even have now, there's ones that, like, on the side that rips so much, it's like more of like the molded part.
Kind of like the cleats like with the pitchers.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like on the pinky side.
They're a team, right? They just called a timeout. I mean, it's not really any specific softball reason to call timeout there. I don't think. I mean, given the scenario, 1 out, 2 count. But just controlling the game, right? They're seeing something, they're feeling something, they're going to go talk about it. Who knows if it's serious or not serious.
They've had some chances, but have yet to get a hit with the base runner on.
Yeah, I mean, when you're facing quality pitching, it's really, I mean, the likelihood of getting big innings is less. So for them, they just haven't been able to get a clutch hit, you know. And right now, Texas has one clutch hit. They have a home run, you know, that one pitch. And I think that's, you know, at this level, when you get to this point, this stage, and you've got, you know, quality pitching, it's you can't rely on that big inning so much. So when you have runners on, whether it's the first inning or later in the game, you know, I think really making sure that you don't take that for granted. It's important. Nice. Pitcher who can field a position. I love one of those. PFP, pitchers fielding practice. 3 outs away. Getting beat up. Getting a shot back there. One of their marketing videos, was they asked a bunch of players at the World Series what the hardest position was. There's one position that didn't get said once. What do you think? A lot of people said first base was the easiest, but second base did not get mentioned once, and they were asking, like, what's the easiest position? What's the hardest position? So, first base and outfield were, like, pretty, I mean, probably first base got more votes for the easiest, but catcher and pitcher, catcher mostly got votes for hardest position.
First base. I want to touch her.
I just thought it was interesting, like second base, just like there was nothing. Nobody said second base not one time. Rude.
Lion's share of the home runs. Texas program.
I think the catcher just has a lot of responsibility between obviously the physical side of catching and what that does to your body, but then also I think just, you know, the responsibility you have in catching to work for your pitcher physically, but then emotionally, how she has to, you know, help the pitcher through that. And I don't know, I felt like catcher was a pretty good answer on one of the harder positions.
And she goes back to that rise ball to get the strikeouts. Continues to throw that pitch knowing that, hey, it's a 1-0 ball game, but look at the numbers for her. 4 straight home runs allowed in the
She's probably frustrated with that. I don't like being tardy, especially early in the count like that. That was a little bit of a defensive swing. That was, I think, in her wheelhouse. And I don't know if she got caught off guard by it. She was expecting something different. But I hate when we're late. As a hitting person, I hate people that are late early in the count.
But it is her rise ball. It's been her best pitch.
Oh, that one through. Trying to add some insurance here.
Look for some insurance.
I think she missed a spot. Yeah, that was way too far over the plate. Again, taking advantage of missed spots. You got to be ready to hit. Obviously, they don't come as often at this level, but that's a lot of hitting. Is the not regretting taking a good pitch. So we'll see how tough this hitter is. She looks good here. She's 0-2 in the count. You know, she looks a little defensive, and she didn't get out of it. She didn't get out of it.
That's the short and sweet of it.
That's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that wasn't a good at bat by her.
This one ends in the strikeout of Leanne Good, and giving the nod, understanding that's the pitch.
Body language. Well, if the camera's on you, which obviously it's on them a lot. If the camera's on you, you know, if you're just out playing in the yard or you're playing just, you know, you're not at this level, what are we gonna see? And I think that's a good, you know, I don't think we'd see a lot of good things at times when it comes to our body language and what we're saying, and you know, do we look confident, our shoulders back, our shoulders down. So these people are on the stage and the camera's on them all the time. And sometimes they you know, make mistakes and they don't show good, but I think it'd be an interesting, I heard about, you know, exercise one time where, you know, the team used a bench cam and they put a camera in their bench to see what their bench was like and what, you know, what was going on. I just think, like, you know, obviously they're probably trained a little bit, you know, being at this level and being on camera so much in video, and, you know, we're not in the everyday, but I think that it'd be an interesting idea to think about is like, what is the camera going to show if they show you? What kind of vibe are you putting off as a player?
After a day, Wallace struck out twice in this
Oh. Oh.
Mitchell comes in to score. Here comes Katie Stewart. And they're going to send Stewart to third initially. But a run is in on the throwing error.
Not what you want there. Check swing. I was trying to see if she popped up. She didn't really pop up. It looked like she might have short-armed it.
Yeah.
Felt like maybe she got a little rushed when she got to it. A lot of times we'll see throwing errors when fielders field the ball and then kind of stand straight up when they go to throw, but she didn't really do that. She stayed in athletic position. It just looked like she kind of got rushed and short-armed her throw a little bit there.
Might be Wallace re-entering. The speedier of the two. That is the case.
Was that a pinch hitter?
Yeah.
I love the aggressiveness initially, but I mean, as pinch hitter, it's a tough role as you've been on the bench the whole time. But man, there's so much power in a good pinch hitter. The defense knows that, and so they're ready to attack you, even more so than normal probably. But you've got to be ready to hit. We see a lot of pinch hitters who take the first strike, take the first pitch, because they just need to see one. It's like when you're in the cage, you're like, hey, can I see one? And the reality is like that first one as a pinch hitter is very likely to be your best one. So coming in, making a statement, being ready to hit that first pitch, she was. And then she second guessed herself. I don't know why. I thought it was, unless it was a changeup, I thought it was a good pitch to hit. She got away with it obviously with the air, but pinch hitting is an underdeveloped. It's hard. It's hard to do, but I think that.
Another pinch hitter.
All right, they need two. I think there's something to be said for people who, obviously production is important, making sure that your hitters in the lineup are producing, but for me there's just a feeling of, there's certain hitters that I want up, and those are the hitters that are going to be in the lineup no matter what. Like they have that spark, they have that energy that at any moment they can change the game, and I think those are the people that we want in the lineup every day. And so sometimes you'll hear people talk about that in different ways. You'll see their batting average be a little lower, but they'll just talk about like how much of a spark she is on defense and how much a spark she is, getting on base on offense. And so her batting average may not be there, but I think that it's just that it factor, and you can't replace the it factor, and that's why the it factor plays. And that's what these kids have. Okay. I don't think that was hit very hard. Sometimes I can't tell.
Mia Scott with a smile. She's usually so stoic.
Yeah, she got jammed on that top spin. You can see it there.
It's been honestly one of the most
Look at that
underrated
glove.
conversations
Looks a
where
little-
Tegan Gavon has been so great.
Honestly, not good. Like, it looks big. It looks floppy. What? I don't know the size of that glove.
Karen on the way back.
Interesting.
3 years ago, it was that stunning semifinal day where they beat Oklahoma State twice to advance. Even after trailing by 5 runs in the second game, rallied to win it and move on to play for a championship.
Lots of change-ups and unpredictable counts. Counts that you don't expect them as much.
Yeah, not the. My coach doesn't let me throw a changeup till I have 2 strikes.
They've seen
Former shortstop, I love that. She got on top of that really nice. Agotis made a good play. Sometimes that happens. That's why we don't go on batting average. Watch this. Good. Boom. Backhand. Got herself ready. No shuffle. Throw. Love that. Used her backside to fire it over. Play.
last chance for
And guess what? That was a girl who had a bad strikeout last half inning.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to move on, because she didn't look good at all. It was 3 pitches. She struck out. But she's got to know that, yeah, that's a bummer. She's going to strike out and not have a good at-bat, but she's got to know where we're at in the situation here. And if she's not in a good headspace, she doesn't make that play. And now all of a sudden you got a runner on base with Tennessee, and a home run ties this game just in the snap of a finger. So kudos to that shortstop for making sure that she was in a good headspace, I assume. I act like I'm in her head. But it looked like she was, right? She moved on, she turned the page, and now she's focused on being the best defender and best person for her pitcher. You can see her in there feeding her pitcher all day long. She's got to separate offense from defense, and that's a really good example of how she did that.
Wow. We just showed a stat of she's faced 10 batters and thrown 10 first pitch strikes.
That's huge.
Like,
Sometimes
the
they
value of first pitch strikes.
Sometimes they make it too hard, too complicated. Just throw a first pitch strike. That easy, you know. Change up. Winner. Wow.
Texas head into.
See, this was a, what I said earlier, this was a, minimal hits, minimal runs, and still over 2 hours.
Right.
Still over 2 hours. What a great job by that starting pitcher for Texas.
Officially our longest podcast.
Officially our longest podcast. Yeah.
Just doing an incredible job. And then Tegan Caban, 3 strikeouts.
What a game. What a game.
Right on time, my low battery.
We're going to wrap up here. So, we just wanted to, not a lot of action in that one. Pitchers duel, but good softball, and hopefully we're able to take a couple of nuggets from us and just learn a couple things about how we watch the game and what we look for. It's more than just the outcomes, the obvious outcomes. We're looking at the details. We're looking at everything that's happening in the game, the smallest things, and to get us an edge, as coaches and athletes. And yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. But I think the last encouragement we want to share with you is just, obviously we told you, we want more kids watching the game. Mm-hmm. We want more kids watching the game. You learn. That's how I learned, right? That's how I learned growing up. And softball wasn't even on TV that much. But I watched a lot of basketball growing up because it was on TV. And we have it now on TV, and we need to take advantage of that. So let's maybe shed some light on just some unique ways and creative ways that we can do that.
Yeah, one of my favorites is definitely, we like to do a bingo board. So then kids are locked in on trying to actually watch what's happening. So we let them create their own. So all of their spaces, they can add in whatever they want, from they see a home run to, you can make it as fun as Texas is going to wear all white. You can add in real skill stuff. You can add in catcher calls timeout. And so a lot of the things that are on the intangible side, and then like I said, the skill side of it too. And then they have a little competition to see who gets to fill their bingo board first, and they mark it off. So it gives them an intentional way to go about watching the game, and just to be really creative in what they're maybe going to see. So I think that's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, that's a creative one because kids get bored, so it's a way to make it fun. The other thing is just, to do it as a team bonding, right? Go out to a game and watch, and then watch, tell them to watch their position, right? Mm-hmm. Tell them to watch their position, have conversations about it afterward, have a worksheet, right? Similar to bingo, but have a worksheet where they can write notes of what they saw, but giving them specifics, not just hey, we're going to go watch a game, to where now you're just dependent upon how they're going to watch the game. I think we need to guide them on how to watch the game, and so that's where the bingo, that's
scavenger hunt, another one.
Scavenger hunts, telling them to watch their position.
I think watching their position, and then we've done to where you had to watch your position, but then you had to do some sort of presentation about your position after the fact.
Good and bad.
Creative way.
Good and bad. These are humans, right? It's not. We want them to see the good and bad. We want if they see someone have a bad reaction emotionally, get mad, throw a helmet, something. Right. We want them to see that and witness that. How did that make them feel? What did they see from their perspective? So watch the game. There's so much to learn from it. Even just listening to the commentators on there. And I don't know, maybe we'll be on ESPN one day. I don't know. I love that. I love
maybe.
That stuff. It inspires me up. So just raw emotions thrown out there. So it wasn't there could have been way more though. There's been other games where I'm no, but it was good. Maybe we'll do it again. So
yeah, a lot of fun. All right, well, thank you for joining us on this special edition of The Plug, your go-to resource for athletes, families, and coaches as we navigate the sports world.